Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity for me to speak with you and present this afternoon. Since you appointed me as your chief, one of my main tasks have been to conduct a risk management liability review of the police department, policies and procedures. My philosophy is it's predictable, it's preventable, and then using that task, what I've identified as the issue before us tonight has to do with our duty issued pistols for our officers. What I discovered is the policy allows, for whatever reason I'm not sure, but for the officers to carry a variety of different pistols, different calibers, whether it be department issued or personally owned. The issue and problem with that is the lack of uniformity, and it certainly isn't the industry standard. The industry standard basically dictates that there should be uniform for a lot of different officer safety reasons. Based on officer safety, we need to have the same platform. If for some reason one officer needs to grab another officer's pistol, take the magazines, use the ammunition, it creates some issues in that area. It also creates issues in cost, efficiency, training, and for our armorers to have to be familiar with several different platforms. About 2 or 3 years ago, there was a Washington Post article on the FBI, and the FBI basically sets the standard for law enforcement across the country, and they recently conducted a study finding that the best caliber of weapon, the most effective, is the 9mm with the 9mm round. Currently, a lot of our officers are carrying the 40mm or the 45mm, no 9mm. The reason the FBI made this decision was based on ballistics. With the new 9mm round, it's just as effective as the 40 caliber. And what they're finding though with that round, it provides for more accuracy for the officer in addition to carrying more rounds. So you're not only carrying more rounds, but you're getting more rounds on the target. As you can imagine, a transition like this in any change is hard, but for officers and their pistols, it's much like anybody else with a preference for a certain make of car, a certain make of stereo equipment or whatever, very particular. And this change has been met with some resistance. I'll admit quite a bit of resistance. And part of dealing with that change is involving the officers and involving our firearms instructors to develop and test and look at different weapons platforms and provide their input. And through a lot of that work and through working with different vendors, our firearms instructors have identified the pistol that would be the issued pistol if I get approval for my recommendation tonight. It's the Glock 17 model. And in part of the education with the officers and the change, a staff study was put together that you have in your council packets tonight, along with the Washington Post article and along with a training plan from Glock. So the staff study went into a lot of depth about why we're making this change, the effectiveness of the 9mm round, the benefits to the officer for the pistol, and not only the pistol, but uniformity in the holster, and then adding a tactical light to the pistol. The tactical light is important in a variety of situations, so the officer isn't having to deal with a flashlight in one hand and a pistol in the other. And the newest holsters that we are requesting to purchase are a 3-point retention, meaning that if a suspect attempts to try to remove the officer's holster, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for them to figure it out. So it levels a higher level of officer safety and allows the officer to retain his pistol in different situations. So in looking at all those different issues, doing education through the staff study, identifying the platform, allowing the officers to essentially test drive the pistol with the light and the new holster, the feedback from the officers was very, very positive, and most of the resistance to change went away. And so with that, what we're deciding to do is move forward with the Glock 17 with a 3-point retention holster, tactical flashlight, and of course with that comes a huge training component. And as I mentioned in your packet, there is the Glock transition training outline that we received from the Glock Corporation. They will also have instructors and armors come out with us during this transition period. The transition shouldn't be too difficult, as most officers already are carrying a semi-automatic pistol. The Glock pistol is the workhorse for law enforcement across the country. The familiarity should be very similar to the other pistols that they carry, and we anticipate a smooth transition. With this program, of course, as I'm sure you're wondering, what is the cost? The cost isn't as much as you would think, and it's I think a small and a wise investment to improve officer safety, reduce liability, and reduce risk, improve efficiency, and in the long term, save money, and I'll get into those details. The cost per officer, and we currently have 21 officers, for the pistol, for the tactical light, and for the safety holster, is approximately $1,200 per officer, and then we need to buy 2 additional for backup and for spare. So the total cost for that is just under $30,000. And then we also need to purchase practice rounds of 9mm caliber and duty rounds. Duty rounds are more expensive because they're designed to be used in duty with controlled expansion heads. The practice rounds are smoothbore and cost less. But the total ammunition that we'll need for the transition and for the practice, the cost is $10,000. So that takes our project to just under $40,000. The good news in this project is the pistols that we currently have are worth quite a bit of money. And working with our firearms vendor, who we're working with purchasing the Glock pistols, has agreed to buy back our 23 pistols that we have. That's approximately a trade-in value of $10,000. So this whole project will come under just $30,000. And again, I believe that's a very small and wise investment to ensure that we have a uniform pistol platform amongst our rank. Efficiency and saving on ammunition. The 9mm ammunition is somewhat significantly less than the 40 caliber ammunition and 45 caliber ammunition that we are currently ordering and having to stock 3 different calibers. And in addition, another efficiency that we'll recognize is through our trainers, not having to train our firearms instructors to be armors on several different platforms of pistols and now just concentrating on the Glock. We'll also save money and efficiency by only having to have on-hand spare parts for one manufacturer of pistol. So that's my presentation for tonight. I believe, again, that this is a very important risk management project for the police department. Not a very large investment, but the outcome is big. And again, as I stated before, predictable is preventable. And this is one of those situations where if allowed to go on, you can predict that something could happen, and being aware of it and not making the change puts the liability not only on myself, the police department, but on the town. And again, that's why I feel this project is so important and worthwhile. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.